So I did a video a little while back about why I left the auto dealership. Um, but there's another side to the automotive industry that people aren't talking about right now, and it has to do with the quality of the work and the quality of the shops and what people are paying to have work done on their cars now. One of the questions, if you know how to do this stuff yourself, is when do you farm stuff out? This last week, or a couple weeks ago, I started working on the Crown Vic here, parting it out, and the day after I rolled the Crown Vic in the shop and started tearing it down, my daughter's car conked out. So she lives on the other side of town, and I would have to have the car towed all the way back here to Choctaw. And I figured, I know a guy, certified auto specialist up in Edmond. Tim Howley runs it, guy I interned with, and excellent shop. And so looking at the fact that I already had a ton of work lined up on parting this thing out and no other room in my shop at the moment because I've got too many projects, and the level of work that was going to need to be done, I farmed it out. The idler pulley on her serpentine belt sheared off in the block. They had to pull the cylinder head to get the timing cover off to get to the bolt to drill it out, and it cost me a pretty penny. But it's 100 degrees outside, and I know that's a lot of work, and I could have done it, and I could have saved myself a lot of money, but the headaches of getting the car over here and while coordinating with her to get her rides to and from work and whatnot, it just wasn't worth it. It was easier for me to farm it out and have them do it and be over and done with it. So, since then, she's got her car back, and there may be another issue with it I've got to tackle. I know the car's not it's not a brand new vehicle. It's an old Ford Focus. But the other day, yesterday, my son borrowed my wife's car to make a trip to Springfield, or to St. Louis, Missouri. He made it to Springfield, and the car conked out. And this morning, my wife and my mother-in-law drove up there overnight to help him out with the car, and they took it to a shop, and the shop owner says that it needs a new water pump and a new timing belt, even though it's got a brand new timing belt on it, and it needs the tensioner, and it needs a new radiator too. The price is starting to add up here, and he says that's $1,000 in parts. So I looked on Rock Auto. I can get all the parts to fix that car with shipping for $200. Now, I understand Rock Auto undersells even the jobber prices like O'Reilly's or AutoZone. But I also used to work at a Napa Auto Parts store many years ago, and so I know what parts prices are for jobbers. Typically whatever they're advertising that price for, cut it in half, and a busy shop that orders a lot from them will get that price. So I'm looking at, all in, if you were to buy all the parts from a O'Reilly's there in Springfield, it might be $400 or $500 in parts. And it could be a little more. But this is a dirty secret of the auto repair industry is, if you go to a shop and they have to go to AutoZone or O'Reilly's or wherever, Napa, and get the parts for your car, they're going to charge you a markup. And what's a fair markup for a shop to do? They're already bending you over for the labor, and I say that kind of facetiously. I want the technician to get paid. Don't get me wrong. The technician needs to get paid for the work. The shop owner needs to get paid for the work, and I realize that. But telling me it's $2,000 to do a water pump and timing belt and a radiator on a Chrysler 300, I've been into that car. I know what the work requires. I took my daughter's car to Tim's shop, which was 8 miles from where it was broke down, because that was the quick and easy way to get it fixed. It's cheaper and easier for me to have my wife's car towed back from Springfield so that I can work on it than it is to have this guy work on it up there. Now, I have to say, some of this may be a lost in translation thing. I'm dealing with my wife having dealt with the shop. I didn't actually talk to him, so maybe there's something there that I'm not getting. But $2,000 to do a radiator and a water pump on a Chrysler 300 that's not a transverse engine, yeah, it's longitudinal. You take off you open the hood and everything's right there. I've done the timing belt on this car already. I know how easy it is. And this is one of the problems that people are having with auto shops right now. This is why people don't trust mechanics. They don't trust dealerships. They flat out don't trust dealerships, but there's a lot of independent shops out there that aren't any better than an auto dealership. I want you to get paid for your work if you're working on my car. That's true. I've done the Dave Ramsey program and I want a bargain, but at the same time, I also understand that sometimes there's bargains and sometimes you've got to pay the mechanic to do the work. So I'm all about paying the mechanic to do the work. I've been a mechanic. I don't like starving while I'm working my butt off in the 100-degree weather. But don't try to get your Caribbean vacation on me. That's what I have an issue with. That's what most people have an issue with. And that's why auto shops aren't trusted right now. That's why mechanics aren't trusted. If you're going to be a mechanic, be honorable. Charge an appropriate amount for you to pay your bills and to make a living. You ought to be bringing down, for the work a mechanic does, honestly, mechanics ought to be making 75 grand a year. Having to know what you have to know and having to do the work that you have to do, 50 to 75 grand for a mechanic is appropriate, especially being out in the weather and dealing with the heat and the wreckage it does to your body. But at the same time, don't try to make that all in one customer. You make that money by doing the work day after day and saving your money up, pinching pennies where you can, just all the budgeting stuff that you're doing now while not getting paid. But that's why I got out of the business. I got tired of having to fight for my side of the pay and then getting treated like crap and feeling like I had to rip customers off to make money. That's not right. It's not. If you're a customer, you ought to be willing to lay down that wallet and pay your mechanic when he does a good fix. You've got to be willing to accept that sometimes, you may get your car fixed and a week later something else break on it. That happens. That's why you stay on top of maintenance so that you don't have 5 things hit you at once. And that's my daughter's car. I think I'm kind of running into that. The car's run good for a while and she doesn't complain about the problems it has. And so now here I am, I get the car and all of a sudden, it's got more issues than just this one. So I'll probably end up having to put a motor mount on that thing here in the next week or so. I may have a charging system issue also, but that's, I hadn't been paying out that money to keep that car up. So. All right, so I got the wife mobile home and we drove up to where it was parked and I swapped out the radiator on it and that fixed it. We drove it all the way home, it ran rock solid. The guy told me it's $1,000 for the parts and $2,000 total, and I bought a $130 radiator and that fixed it. If you're running an auto shop, you got to be fair with your customers. You don't go blowing people out of the water when you think you can hit a big deal. That gets you a bad reputation. It makes people not trust mechanics at all. So I'm going to keep an eye on the coolant for the next few days, make sure the water pump's not leaking. But the car's running fine. Just drove it a couple hundred miles. Didn't skip a beat. So, yeah. One quick note. The Chrysler 300s had if you go looking for parts, there's a heavy-duty cooling system for these. That's the V8 cooling system. The V6 hoses don't go on the heavy-duty radiator, just so you know. But the parts companies will try to sell you that heavy-duty radiator. Rock Auto had it listed, O'Reilly's had it listed. The heavy-duty radiator does not work with the V6. Get the standard-duty radiator. I live in Oklahoma. We like running the air conditioning. I thought, hey, heavy-duty radiator. Let's put a little bit more safety margin on here. No, doesn't fit. So, know that.